John Gates says, reject Concord and live service, embrace Astrobots. That was, that actually was quite a fitting way to segue, I suppose. Concord, the online first-person shooter released by Sony that cost, $100 million to make? And 8 years of development. God knows how many hundreds, potentially thousands of people were involved in it. It's been taken offline after less than 2 weeks after launch. And that's it. It's a dead game now.
697 all-time peak players.
Wow. What happened?
They couldn't beat Golem's all-time peak.
I think that was just down to you, Mauer.
They thought they were going to get a new Destiny. Sony put a bunch of money behind it. It was ex-Bungie devs. And, it was a really big bet for them. And unfortunately, no one expected this. They're completely surprised. That's what humors me the most is, say, the journalists of the world, the game journalists of the world are in utter shock that this project has failed.
I mean, just for context, that's the kind of character you get in this game.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. It just looks exactly like that Minecraft trailer for some reason.
It does. Just change the color of the jacket.
Why? What is this weird fetish for like fat black women that just seems to be everywhere at the moment? Why do they have to be portrayed as fat?
That's quite.
Why are they doing that to them?
Like
there's a campaign against
fetish.
Anything beautiful, really.
Yeah.
It's just. I mean, you can do. Look, Concord is supposed. Is a very woke game. You got pronouns for characters. You have characters that look like this. But so is Overwatch. But Overwatch doesn't make their characters generic and ugly because they don't want to offend anybody. They still go to great lengths to have, good-looking characters. This, I don't know what this is.
It's that Dove positivity campaign about women in video gaming. They have the fat woman in the sort of cartoon who then goes backstage and takes off her shoes and everything. So I guess she won because now she's one of the pack.
But that's actually in Microsoft's their DEI internal memo, their guidelines for game studios to follow. They actually say don't make women attractive. Don't you have to do this.
Yeah, maybe the top right there has a notification about health or whatever. Maybe this is just following the trope that fat people get extra health. I don't mind that. Double health bar, baby.
She got higher hit points because
I need it because you got the bigger hit boxes.
they have to balance it, drink. Yeah, because it's easy to hit. So you can have shield.
They can absorb more punishment. It's like you put Boogie into the game and he's basically unstoppable. He's the bullets to take him down.
Bouncing the bullets back.
Yes.
His special move is twisting his tipples.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like this and that other game, Dustborn, kind of failing spectacularly, almost like side by side. I don't know, man. There just seems to be a real change, a real turning of the tide, I suppose, within the gaming industry right now.
You know what Concord is? It's the acolyte of the gaming world. It had a lot of money behind it. Not, it had these expectations that it would just do so well. And the utter shock and surprise when it didn't just not do well, but it closed in 2 weeks is really causing a lot of cognitive dissonance with everybody. And I think it's a real wake-up call. And it's changing the industry. This will definitely change the industry in the way people think about it. And that's what's important, is that these things have to fail. Unfortunately, we've gotten to the point where these things have to fail before anything changes. And that there's such needless destruction of jobs and for these poor creative decisions. But here we are. And if we want to rebuild something better, this is the necessary culling of the herd.
Yeah. No, I mean,
those
ultimately,
numbers even add up with the 700 peak, 25,000 sold. That's like 3%.
Yeah,
but it seems like it should be a lot higher if they sold 25,000 copies.
Usually, it should be. Yeah.
I mean, it's the concurrent, isn't it? So, I guess they'll come on at different times and stuff, or maybe they try it for 3%. Well, they try it for an hour and then they're like, "No, this sucks, man." Just never play it again.
Well, the play time's a lot shorter, so this probably means that the play times are really short. For the percentage of concurrency to be that low, it means that people were hopping on and hopping off.
there was a selection of people as well who bought it to resell, I guess, copies. Like I saw the eBay prices, or the people are just trying to get them out now as fast as possible. Because
Walmart is the manager. There's at one local Walmart that someone was tweeting about was saying, "I've never seen anything like this. People are coming in asking for a copy of Concord before we have to take it off the shelves. People want this. It's a symbol of
lost media.
It's a trophy.
Yeah, it'd be like
it's a scalp."
Remember all those ET cartridges that game was a colossal flop, and they buried them in some landfill in New Mexico, and then 30 years later they unearthed them as some archaeology dig or whatever. Like that's kind of what it's like.
Yeah,
it is lost media.
That's why they killed it, because to keep it open, the servers aren't that expensive to maintain for a game like this. They kept it. But to keep it open, they can't write it off, right? They have to show that it has no value whatsoever. Haven't they done that with some movies? Like they don't even release them and they burn the film.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's what's going on here. It's so bad that they're trying to rescue this as some sort of write-off. That's the only explanation I can see for killing it after such a short time.
I mean, I have to ask as well, $100 million to make a game.
Probably more than that. For 8 years, a studio that size, my own personal estimate is about 150 mil, but we don't know the actual numbers. But the other interesting thing is not only did they close the game, they refunded everybody. Now, this is a big deal because people are saying, oh, they refunded the 25,000 people who bought it. No, they refunded every major retail chain that bought millions of copies. They had to give that money back to the Targets, to the Walmarts. This is a big deal.
It's got to be a tax write-down then. That's got to be it. Like that's the only way they could get away with this is that if they refund the people that have bought it, including the retailers, then they could pretend like it never existed. And then they get the tax write-down.
Bizarre. What is the with that fat character? What are the stamina levels like? Are you watching them running around and running up hills and stuff like that?
Jiggling around.
Has absolutely no effect on their athleticism or health.
It's like that, that meme that has been going around. In fact, it's not a meme. People are serious about this. Where like, why would you have a problem with this? And it's like a picture of like a barbarian in a fantasy game in a wheelchair with like an axe in each hand, like going into battle, like rolling into battle.
Isn't that a god?
There's loads of different variations of it, but it's like, isn't the point of fantasy games like that you don't have to be yourself? Like, if I was in it, I wouldn't be like a drunken, pasty-faced Scottish guy, right? I would be like, a fucking wizard or something like that, or like an elf, like superb archer or ninja or whatever. Why would you think like, a disabled person is going to want to be disabled in the game? And yeah, like not even talking about the mechanics of how any of that would actually work. Like someone could just tip him over and then he's kind of fucked.
It's very true that the power fantasy for males in gaming is a great draw, like being a space marine or whatever. And for women also, but also for women, the character design and fashion stuff. Like my wife won't play a game with an ugly female character. She just won't do it. But the signs were all over the place. I don't know if you heard about some of the stuff on the dev team, like Smash JT was talking about. There was a dev on the team that insisted, a non-binary dev who insisted that everyone refer to her as the professor. And whenever she had a meeting, it was a lecture or a class. And this went all the way apparently to HR and made everyone in the studio very uncomfortable.
You can't force people to call you the professor, surely.
You went Joe Biden on him.
And they got huge feedback during open beta, where they had very few players. Also, they had more players than they did after launch, I think. But they wrote it off. Like I had internal sources saying, yeah, the director of PR is emailing around saying, just ignore it. It's all white noise. It doesn't matter.
Ooh, that's racist right there. White noise.
Quite the phrase.